How's it, Rohan Patel Company? Hi, how are you guys?
Good
Hi,
man,
how
how are
are
you?
you?
Doing well, thank you. So I finished the show last night. Awesome, awesome show. So I wanted to get started with Alexander. We follow Ish from episode 1 to 6 over a course of many, many years. So what? And I would assume this is the most complete character you've ever played. So what kind of challenge does that present to the kind of preparation you're doing to understand him, different phases in his life?
I so appreciate you saying that, Rohan. And I mean yeah, you're spot on. Michael Wright called me about this you know, almost 8 months ago, and he said, this is going to be the hardest thing you ever do, and the most rewarding. And he delivered on both of those promises. Um, it's, it was the most solitary experience I've ever had in my life. It was the most daunting. Um, it was also the most rewarding. And to prepare for something like this, there's only so much you can do, and then you're kind of on the train, and you're trying to keep it together. The first episode for me was one of the hardest episodes of television I've ever done, and I was so grateful when I finally got to work with Jessica, I felt the same amount of gratitude that Ish must have felt when he finally gets to see Emma. And Jessica has so been my rock through this, and um, I think I think the main struggle was actually remembering where I was in the timeline. Because, Ish goes through a lot of mental traumas, but he also goes through a lot of physical traumas as well. So, I would move differently after a mountain lion attack, or he would act differently after the birth of his first child, and these are things that like we had to just remember because we were covering such a huge time horizon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the mountain lion. Oh my God. And then Jessica, like unlike many of the characters, when we first meet them, everyone is very uh pessimistic. I think I mean it's just like a very dark place when you meet him. But your character M stays fairly positive when we meet her, and then throughout that she's kind of like everyone's sort of moral compass and the heart of the group. So what would you say drove her to stay optimistic even though with so much darkness around her?
I think when you lose everything that you define yourself by or all of that, you have to find who you are at the core, without all that other stuff. And I think at the core of Emma is hope and survivor. And I think that at least for me and how I wanted to craft her, there's a reason why she's still here. There's a reason why she's left, and there's a reason why she has to go on. And I think she finds that reason in Ish and in her community, and they build a what they hope to be a better, what's the word, future.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we meet, like this question is for both of you, but when we first meet, or when Ish and M meet, it's like they assume they're the last people on the pillar. So what was it like, sort of, like Alexander just said, seeing you on set kind of brightened up his own day. So like, what was it like developing that chemistry and finding who you were as, scene partners, but then also like your characters as a couple?
It was immediate. It was, I think me reading the story at home, and you're at home for a little bit by yourself, just like absorbing this information, absorbing this writing, absorbing everything in this beautiful world. You're just seeing it in your head. And the minute I met Alex, I was like, it's Ish, like it's totally him. It's perfect casting. This is great. Because he had this sort of like just electric energy about him. And also he's like this big walking heart that's like yes and as an actor, any actor out there knows what yes and means. There is no like, well, I don't know about that, or no, da, da. It's like, yeah, let's do it 100%. Let's try it. Great. Da, da, da. And it makes you like, let's do it. And so when you have that sort of open space, then you can just play. And I think we both had a great time just sort of like trusting each other, playing, being there for each other. And we have to go through some pretty deep stuff. And through that, you build a bond, you build a connection, and you just want to work harder. Um, so that's what I experienced.
Awesome. And then Alex, when your character Ish gets his worldview challenged a lot, he's very distrusting initially, and then a lot of times you see Ezra, Molly, Charlie, some he gets on board with, some people he's rightfully distrustful of. So what was it kind of like playing that and his kind of like, is it out of safety for his own family, or is it more just like trying to like grasp his leadership role?
It's a great question.
That's a
You
great
know,
question.
so Ish is such a solitary man at the beginning of this show. And it's one thing to be solitary when you've chosen it. It's another thing to have it forced upon you. And
Mm.
immediately I think he realizes the only way he is going to survive is not only to find purpose within himself, but to find others to share that purpose with. And in Emma, he finds that. And they slowly but surely build this incredible little tribe.
Mhm.
And it's almost a utopia at times, almost. And then when other, whether it be external forces, whether it be people or disease or force majeure circumstances, affect the possibility of this tribe flourishing and continuing to exist, the trauma of losing his old life ensues again. And not only that, the truth is he's grown to love this life even more than he ever
Mhm.
could have loved the old one. So it is out of protection for the life he has now.
Mhm.
Um, it's one thing to lose the love of your life or your life once, but to lose it twice would devastate him forever. So he protects it at all costs, and sometimes to the detriment of the tribe itself. And I call them a tribe because that's kind of what it is.
Mhm.
It's like they've
Yeah.
they've created this little
1000%.
family.
Absolutely.
No, it's wonderful to watch how. I mean, I just binged through all six last night. It was just such a cool show. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
See
Thank
you,
you
man. I
so
can't
much.
thank you
Thank
for the
you.
kind words. I'm so happy you loved it.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait for people to see it. But thank you guys.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.